Aquaman 2 is scheduled for release later this year on December the 20th. I believe it will be a big bomb, and here's the reasons why. Let's start with the obvious. Amber Heard. After the defamation trial in 2022, the mere mention of Amber Heard's name will evoke strong emotions, as around 90% of the internet believe she's a social climbing victim shamer, who blames and destroys everyone and anything she touches. And of course, there's a small group of people, perhaps in the tens or hundreds, who say that she was unfairly treated and is in fact the victim. The end result of the defamation trial between her and her ex-husband Johnny Depp was that Amber Heard was unanimously found guilty of defamation and was charged to pay over $10 million of compensatory damages to Johnny Depp. More importantly, in the court of public opinion, she is enemy number one, being as unpopular as the lady who threw a cat into a bin, and James Corden.
I didn't know that.
Amber Heard plays Mera, Aquaman's love interest in Aquaman 1, and despite rumours that she'll be replaced as a romantic interest for Aquaman 2, or that at least her screen time would be reduced, from the reported early test screenings, this seems not to be the case. In this year's Cinemacon, which showcases previews and snippets of upcoming movies, reportedly the Aquaman 2 trailer was shown, and it featured Amber Heard as Mera. The LA Times confirmed this, so it seems to be fairly conclusive that Amber Heard is reprising her role as Mera. Now when the trailer for Aquaman is released, you can just imagine the dislikes to likes for the video, being at least a 4:1 ratio, simply because of Amber Heard's appearance. The Change.org petition, titled "Remove Amber Heard from Aquaman 2", has reached 4.5 million signatures, which is incredible, showing that there really is a large group of people that strongly want Amber removed from Aquaman 2. The fact that she is not being removed from Aquaman 2 will most likely lead these internet protesters to making their voices heard, no pun intended, by commenting on Aquaman trailers, tweeting DC to remove her, and numerous newspaper articles writing about the online hatred for Amber Heard. This bad press will create an awful narrative for Aquaman 2 before the film is even released, in a similar way to how fan backlash affected The Last Jedi and Star Wars' subsequent film, Solo. In isolation, the Amber Heard drama alone is enough to cause issues for Aquaman 2, but on top of this, there's a huge decline in the profitability of DCEU films, which bodes ominously for the Aquaman sequel. The last 4 films by DC have all made a loss at the box office, the most recent of these being Shazam 2, and if we apply the rule that a movie should make double its production budget to account for marketing and a cut of the ticket that the cinema gets, Shazam 2 has made a loss of $179 million. Before that, Black Adam made a loss of $9 million, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad made a loss of $203 million, and Wonder Woman 1984 made a loss of $234 million. Yes, COVID played a factor in Wonder Woman and The Suicide Squad, but it's still an indisputable sign that the DCEU has been in a huge decline over the last few years. Combine this with Marvel's Ant-Man Quantumania failing in terms of critical reviews and box office, the superhero genre does seem to be on its last legs. The third reason I believe Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom will bomb is the rebranding of the DCEU to DCU. Under James Gunn and Peter Safran's new leadership, the DCEU has been scheduled to end with Aquaman being its final film. There's 3 more films to come out in the DCEU, first of which is The Flash, which looks rather good from the trailers, and Blue Beetle in August, which looks surefire to be an absolute bomb too. And then finally, Aquaman 2 in December. This announcement that the DCEU is over leaves Aquaman in a very weird place. With the MCU and DCEU, audiences have grown accustomed to multiple films tying in with each other and teasing future films with their post-credit scenes. But now, as Aquaman 2 is the last film with the DCEU, many fans who have enjoyed this universe have less reason to watch it, as it won't set a potential crossover with Aquaman and Henry Cavill's Superman, for example. The walking corpse of the DCEU and the audience, who are now clearly indifferent to it, can be seen in Shazam's box office numbers. With some thinking, what's the point? It's not going to connect with Justice League 2 or other potential crossover films. I imagine this will be the same for Aquaman 2, ending off the DCEU with a wet fart. Reason number 4 why Aquaman 2 will fail is that nobody really cares about the character. From James Gunn leaving a character in the DCEU bin, Jason Momoa eyeing up Lobo and saying that he was, and I quote, absolutely baffled that Aquaman was received so well, to most people not actually knowing Aquaman's real name. It's Arthur Curry, by the way, I had to look it up. There is no long history of Aquaman films or shows, and the fanbase for the character is very small. The first Aquaman was a lightning in a bottle film, with Jason Momoa being most women's ideal manly man, and Amber Heard being the mermaid-like redhead. Aquaman was a blank canvas, and a stunning underwater world was unlike anything audiences had seen before. Now compare that to Aquaman 2. Momoa, who was a breakout star after his portrayal as Khal Drogo in Game of Thrones, while still fairly popular, is certainly not at the peak of his fame. Amber Heard is completely tainted for most of the movie-going public, and as we've recently seen Avatar: The Way of Water, and to a much lesser extent Black Panther 2, underwater worlds aren't as rare or new as they once were. The thought of Aquaman 2: The Lost Kingdom just feels tired and underwhelming. Lost Kingdom would do well to make even half the money that the original Aquaman made. Now, not to end on a completely negative note, I want to talk about one potential positive for Aquaman 2. It doesn't have too much in terms of competition in late December, with Timothée Chalamet's Wonka and an unnamed Ghostbusters film currently scheduled for late December. So perhaps, just perhaps, it can overcome the odds to be a surprise hit, just like the first Aquaman was. Now, what do you think? Will Aquaman 2 bomb for the reasons I've suggested? Or are there other reasons that I've not mentioned as to why the film could sink or swim at the box office? I know, I'm sorry. I've had hundreds of water puns I've resisted using, so allow me that one. Whatever you believe, let me know in the comments below. If you're new here, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, and gently tap in the notification bell. It's early days for Film Club, and this really helps the channel to grow. We cover all the best movies and TV shows, as well as the occasional video essay. Thank you, and see you again.